Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Expert Examiner IELTS. My name is Glyn, and in this video, we're going to give some feedback on Moinul's speaking test. So let's jump straight into it. Good afternoon. My name is Glyn. Would you please tell me your full name?
Well, my full name is Moinul Islam. You can call me Moinul.
Okay, good start. Thank you, Moinul. Now, in this first part of the test, I'm going to ask you some questions about yourself. Do you work or do you study?
Okay. At that moment, I'm a student.
Yeah, at that moment is a bit confusing because when we use at that moment, we don't use it to talk about right now, right? At the moment, we use about right now. At that moment sounds like it's past time.
Pursuing my bachelor degree. My major is law.
Bachelor's degree should be bachelor's degree. So a little bit of sentence stress and word stress. But okay, it's the beginning. Forget about it. And why did you decide to study law?
Okay. Actually,
Twice now, the candidate has responded to a question with okay. Usually, to me, this shows that candidates are not confident about their listening comprehension. It's like they have to listen very, very carefully to the question and then go, okay. And okay is like the signpost to say, I understand you, which is a bit strange in, a normal spoken interaction. If this happened with a friend of mine, if I said, like, oh, how was your day yesterday? And he said, okay. My day was okay. Oh, what did you do? Okay. Well, actually, I watched football. So just be careful with that. We don't want to respond to all of our questions with, okay.
in the future, I want to be a professional lawyer. For this reason, I choose this subject.
Okay, it's a little bit circular, right? Why did you choose law? I chose law because I want to become a professional lawyer. For this reason, I chose this subject. There's no real development there, but okay. And what would you like to do when you finish your studies?
When I finish my study, I would like to go to the abroad for my higher education, and it will help me for my uh, for my future life. So
A little bit of disfluency, but okay. The answer is foolish, and it's, I would like to do something very nice.
that's why I think after finishing my study, I'll go to abroad.
Yeah, and then again, we get this summarizing language. So it sounds to me like the candidate has practiced this technique. Give an answer, give a reason why, and summarize. And sometimes it's good to have such strategies if you have problems with development. But if you use that same repetitive strategy over and over again, the examiner will spot what you're doing. And here it just seems a little bit strange, this final answer. Let's listen again.
Help me for my
Okay, so I'd like to go abroad. Cool. This will help me with my profession or something like this.
for my future life. So that's why I think after finishing my study, I'll.
That's why I think profession my study. And this shows to me that it's kind of memorized language because and that's why, and then the rest of the language kind of disappears. It sounds strange. Just listen again.
Help me for my uh, for my future life. So that's why I think after finishing my study, I'll go.
That's why I think profession my study, I will go. So he's so focused on getting the strategy, hit the that's why, and then sum it up that he kind of forgets to give the meaningful information. I don't know. You tell me, what does he say after that's why?
My study, I'll go to abroad. My study will
Sorry.
help me uh, for my future life. So that's why I think after finishing my study, I'll go to abroad.
Yeah, I will go to abroad, I hear. I will go abroad, by the way, not to abroad. I know English is so strange, right? Because we usually go to the gym, go to a library, go to a restaurant, go to the shops, but go home and go abroad without preposition. All right, let's move on now and talk about food. What's your favorite type of food?
Okay.
Again, we get this okay, but at least we get, some Positive stuff here. Okay, I like the candidate's positivity.
There are a couple of food that I like. If I have to pick just one, I would definitely go for biryani, which is really popular in our country. I mean, the Bangladesh. So I really love this food.
Cool. I think that's a wonderful answer. Very nice. And it feels, authentic. It feels real from the candidate. And do you prefer eating out or cooking at home?
Uh, to be honest with you, I prefer to eating out.
So I prefer to eating out is a problem. I prefer eating out, fine. I prefer to eat out, fine. I prefer to eating out. Mm-mm. So we have these things called gerunds and infinitives. They are verb forms in English. I know there are people who say gerunds are nouns. I will fight those people. Gerunds are verb forms for me. Candidate seems to be a bit between them, right? Prefer to do, prefer doing. Candidate uses prefer to doing, which is wrong here.
Side because I have zero downtime at that moment because of my study commitment. So it's really enjoyable to go outside. I mean, choose some restaurant to eat there. Yeah, it's
Okay, there's a bit of development about why he likes eating out. Cool, good stuff.
quite interesting to me.
And do you like trying new or unusual kinds of food?
Uh, Most of the time, I love to
And also notice this from the candidate. I have a few students who do this too, and I always try and get them to stop doing it. With the beginning of all of their turns, they go, like they're in pain or something. Just notice it.
love to try. I
Sorry. And do you like trying new or unusual kinds of food?
uh,
Uh, and you can see breathing out. I mean, it's just a sign that the candidate is nervous, and so that's it's okay. I would never mark a candidate down for being nervous or anything like that. But sometimes, we should be careful about the kind of impression we make on the examiner. I think here the candidate is okay with that sound. It's clear that it's nervous. Um, Clear that he's nervous, but sometimes with candidates they are nervous, but they make sounds like they are bored, right? So you ask them like, oh, what's your favorite sport? Oh, I guess my favorite sport is football. And that type of stuff sometimes can make examiners think like,
most of the time, I love to try unique and unusual food because
unusual.
I am really I love to exploring new food.
I love to exploring. So earlier we had prefer to eating. Now we have love to exploring. It's the second time we've had the same mistake where candidate can't choose between gerund or infinitive.
And it gives me a lot of pleasure whenever
But still, it gives me a lot of pleasure. Candidate is accurate with that present simple third person s. Good stuff.
I try some new dishes. So most of the time, I try to some new food.
And have your food preferences changed since you were younger?
Yes, when I was younger, that time I needed to eat
That time is good here. I needed to eat good. Past time.
uh, I needed to eat a balanced diet food because of my family pressure.
That's strange, right? I needed to eat a balanced diet food because of a family pressure. To me, this is a sign that the candidate is using memorized language. Probably the candidate has learnt some vocab connected to food and has learnt, okay, use balanced diet. But if we don't fully understand what balanced diet means, we can misuse it. And when we misuse bits of language like this, it really sounds strange. So when I was younger, I needed to eat a balanced diet because of family pressure. I mean, maybe that makes sense, but you have to make it make sense. You have to explain what you mean there. Because I'm just thinking, what do you mean? You had to eat a balanced diet food because of family pressure? I mean, you could say something, oh, my mum really wanted to make sure that her children all had like balanced diet. So my mum was choosing what we could eat. So for that reason, I had to have a balanced diet, right? That would make sense. But just saying I had to have a balanced diet food because of family pressure, I don't know. For me, it just sounds a little bit strange.
But at that moment, I'm quite freedom whenever I
But at that moment, I'm quite freedom. So again, candidate seems to be using at that moment, meaning at the moment. Um, Yeah, and so it's a little bit confusing there, but I can kind of work out what he means. But I am freedom is strange, right? I'm free to choose whatever food I want, but you can't say I am freedom. People can't be abstract concepts. Only in Murakami's books. Sorry.
eat something, it's according to my interest. So yeah, that's why I
Okay, it's according to my interest. That's fine.
can say it's really changed over the years.
It's really chance over theirs. Again, what was this? Now let's talk about.
Eat something, it's according to my interest. So yeah, that's why I can say it's really changed over the years.
It's really changed over the years. Got it. A bit of a mispronounce, a bit of problems with pronunciation caused that misunderstanding, but okay. Now let's talk about learning English. How long have you been learning English?
Uh, Actually, it has been a dog days.
It has been a dog days. I don't know if this is an attempt at an idiom. I don't know what the candidate is saying here. Actually, it has been a dog days.
I'm practicing. I'm starting to learning English.
I'm starting to learning English. So this is the third time we've had this type of mistake. Prefer to doing, like to doing, start to doing. So I can say at this point, this is a systematic mistake that the candidate has with quite a basic piece of language. We start teaching gerunds in at elementary level. We start teaching infinitives at elementary level. We don't expect candidates or students to have control of this. At pre-intermediate, we focus a little bit more on it. And I would say, for an intermediate student, I would expect them not to make this type of mistake. Certainly, they can make mistakes with gerunds and infinitives, but I wouldn't expect them to use sentences like prefer to doing, start to doing, like to doing. I wouldn't expect that from like an intermediate or above.
So yeah, it's quite enjoyable. Sometimes I feel down in the dumps whenever I
It's quite enjoyable. Sometimes I feel down in the dumps. So there's a lack of coherence there. There's no, I don't know, I'm maybe waiting for a build up to say, like, oh, on the one hand, it's quite enjoyable, but then again, there are other days where I feel down in the dumps. Down in the dumps is usually quite a cliched and overused idiomatic expression. Um, I know for a fact that many examiners have training specifically telling them to look out for red flag idiomatic expressions on cloud nine, down in the dumps. Does it mean that if you use down in the dumps, you'll be marked down? No. But it has to be contextually correct. And here, it just sounds out of place. Oh, yeah, English is quite enjoyable. I sometimes feel down in the dumps. It's like, I mean, he is changing. I understand what he means. It's quite enjoyable on the one hand, but then sometimes it's down in the dumps. But I don't know. I would just recommend forget. I would recommend forgetting about trying to activate idiomatic language like this. It is really not helping you. Every time you've attempted to use something idiomatic, it's sounded strange and it's counted against you every single time.
face some critical situations. So yeah, it's
In some, I feel down in the dumps in some critical situations. So we're not going deeper here with the development. We're really not using any vocab to explain anything connected to learning English. Just I've been doing it for a long time. I find it enjoyable. I feel down in the dumps at critical moments. I don't know. There's not. Candidate is, I think, struggling for vocabulary and relies on like kind of generic language.
quite interesting to me.
It's quite interesting. Again, it's quite generic. Again, I've mentioned this many times. At levels A1, A2, we expect candidates to say it's good, it's bad, it's interesting, it's not interesting. With levels B1 or B2 or C1, we really, are more interested in candidates explaining why something is interesting, not just telling us that it's interesting. Explaining what you find interesting about something is far more meaningful than just saying that it's interesting. And how do you think you'll use English in the future?
Uh, okay. In the
Game we get an okay.
future, I have to use it lots of places because at that moment I plan to go abroad. So
Again, at that moment, he means at the moment I plan to go abroad, but I plan to go abroad is good.
definitely I will choose the English country for my higher education. So that time it's really helped me if I learn at that moment to English. So
Okay, but explain how it will help you or explain the situations in which you will use it. Again, your answer's fine. You are answering the question directly, but to get a higher mark for fluency and coherence, you have to go a little bit deeper, right? So while saying something like, well, I plan to study abroad and I'm hoping to go to an English speaking country, so I'll use English a lot, great. Then go that extra level deeper. For example, my university program will be in English, and so all of my assignments will need to be in English. So I'll have to improve some things like my academic English skills. But also, on the other hand, everyday situations, things like going to the shop or taking the bus, I'll need to use English there. So, yeah, English will be a major part of my life, right? That's going that extra level deeper and giving those extra details.
yeah, it's quite helpful in that time.
And would you like to learn any other languages?
Yes, definitely. I'm willing to learn Japanese language.
That's not how we use willing to. It's a nice attempt, I guess, but I'm willing to. Willing to we use when like we don't really want to do it, but okay, we're ready to do it because of an obligation or some sense of duty. What do I mean here? Let's say a friend of mine is moving house and he says, Glyn, can you help me move the furniture? I don't really want to do this, but I'm willing to do it. I'm ready to do it. I will do it because, it's my friend, and maybe if I help him, he'll help me later or something like this. So that's I'm willing to do it.
Because I have a great affection to learn their culture,
Cool, great affection. I like it.
tradition, and customs. So if I get a chance in the future, I will definitely learn this language.
Cool, I like this conditional. If I get a chance in the future, I'll definitely learn it. Very nice stuff. It's showing some range of structures. Nice. And do you think it will be easy or difficult to learn Japanese?
Uh, to be honest with you, it's quite critical to me learn this language because
Not critical. Critical means either very important or very serious. Critical doesn't mean very difficult.
they have a lot of alphabet or characters. It's
Yeah, as someone who has studied some Chinese in the past, you have my sympathy learning this kanji, these characters. Whew, yeah, it's a challenge.
quite difficult to remember. But if I spend a much more time, so I believe that I will learn this language in
Yeah,
the
good.
future because I believe myself.
I believe in myself, but cool, all good. Nice answer. I like that answer. Okay, thank you. Okay, so comment on part one. I don't like the kind of templatey style of the answer, which is like give an answer, give a reason, and then give a summary. It seems to be overused, this thing. I also feel like there is a lack of vocab to go deeper into subjects, or just a lack of willingness to develop. Um, and maybe that's because the candidate either lacks the vocab or the candidate has been given bad advice. Many candidates are given bad advice, which is something like the IELTS test is more about how you can pass the IELTS test, not about how you can use English. So learn these tips and learn these tricks and learn these strategies. And when candidates do that, they get lower marks all the time, every single time without fail. If you're watching anybody on YouTube that tells you to, use this pattern or use this PRP approach or use the TOB approach, this three-step approach, unless you are like an actor or unless you're already an amazing English speaker, you won't be able to use these strategies. The people who make these YouTube videos, they only do it for views. They only do it because they know that that's what people want to hear. You cannot trick your way through the IELTS test. I'm not saying that you are trying to trick your way through. I'm just trying to think of reasons why your answers might be formulaic, and maybe it's because of the training that you've had or the advice that you've been given. I don't know. All I can say is that you don't go into detail, that could be a vocab problem. It certainly counts against you in vocab. It also counts against you in fluency and coherence. I like your pronunciation. There were one or two occasions where I didn't quite catch exactly what you said, but in general, I think you do try to speak with intonation. I think there are clear emotions running through your language, which is very good. Your control for grammar is also strong. You hit things like past time. You don't make those common mistakes with like singular, plural nouns, that like he, she, it, s, like I give, you give, it gives. You nail that type of stuff. You're quite reliable with that. So your grammatical accuracy is quite good. There are some grammar mistakes, and there is maybe a lack of grammatical structures there to take you to that higher level. But yeah, so I think probably part one. Well, I know you'll have a problem in part two, but I think, of course, part one is the part where you have success, and I think maybe you fail to have success in the rest of the test. But we will get to that. We will get to that now. So I'm quite heavy with the feedback in part one because I think this is where we get most of your language. So, but let's jump to part two. Now, in this next. Okay, so that's the end of your. So, the task is for the candidate to describe a historical event that he finds interesting. If you've seen the test video, you know that the candidate has a critical breakdown here, so I won't spend too much time on part two. Preparation time. To remind you, you will have between.
So before diving into the topic, I should probably mention that
Before diving into the topic, I should clearly mention that this feels like memorized language. Some introductory statements are okay. I really like. I'm going to talk about. Let me tell you about. I really like those. I just feel it just gets into the. It just gets into the topic straight away. Again, I've got some criticism for saying this before. Many examiners are trained not to mark or not to even think about the memorized language that you use. So if you use a bit of language like this, like before diving into the topic, I feel like I should mention that blah, 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 blah. The examiners are trained just to switch off and say, okay, ignore that, throw that bit away. When you use language from if you recycle word for word language from the question, the examiners are also trained to throw that away, right? This is what examiners are part of their training is designed to do that. So I wouldn't bother with any long introduction to it. Just okay, I'm going to talk about or let me tell you about and then just get into it.
I have been visited a lot of places
I have visited, not I have been visited, but okay.
which are really historical. However, among them, if I have to pick just one,
Again, if I have to pick just one, we heard this with food, right? Oh, I like different kinds of food, but if I have to pick just one, it's biryani. And now, again, we hear this template language. It's so easily noticeable. And also, the task isn't to describe a historical place, but it's to describe a historical event. So that's kind of
I
different.
would definitely go for the uh, Liberation War Day, which was really popular in our country because that's the our country. Uh, that's the our country are. Free, I mean, that's the our country are freedom from
Candidate is kind of recycling through bits of language. Like, I mean, actually,
the. Okay. Actually, in this day,
yes, actually, I mean, okay, in this day, all of those feel like memorized bits of language, but they don't help us to move forward. I know you had a brain freeze here. It can happen to absolutely anyone. I feel bad for you. I feel sorry for you, but like I said before, it's always good to have this critical breakdown in the mock test, not in the real test.
I mean, uh, every year in 16 December in our country, uh, we actually we are. I mean,
And again, I can't fully diagnose why this has happened, right? What I can say from an examiner point of view is that there's a critical breakdown. The candidate doesn't successfully talk about the topic that he's been given, right? That's the examiner's point of view here. Cool. From a teacher's point of view, trying to think about why this happens, there are a variety of reasons. Most obviously, psychological, right? You feel nervous. Sometimes when we feel nervous, we draw a blank. We can't think of anything to say, and it just happens. And there's no, you know, the worst advice, the worst advice anyone can give you is, "Oh, well, try to calm down." But that is the only advice. Try to calm down doesn't help you. You have to find ways to calm down. Now there are strategies out there that some of them work for some people, others work for others. Some people take a deep breath, other people like to imagine something, other people do some preparation stuff before they go into the test. There are a number of things that can be done that you can do to try to defend yourself or protect yourself against the possibility of you breaking down like this. I can't tell you for sure, but what I would tell you is, if you know that there's a possibility that you're going to break down like this in the test, do some work on the psychological side too, or just look for some tactics or some strategies that will help you to take control of the situation. um The other thing, from if it's not a psychological point of view, if it is a linguistic point of view, just noticing how the candidate cycles through memorized bits of language. Like, actually, I mean, in today's world or stuff like this, um, I don't know if the candidate is like trying constantly to activate language and then just can't think of the template language that he's prepared, or if he's looking at the cue card and trying to answer the questions, right? You have this 1 minute of preparation time. You should take notes at least on what the event was, when and where it happened, why it's interesting to you, just one or two words, and that can be enough. So I'm going to talk about the Second World War. So this happened a long time ago now, almost 100 years ago. It started, well, there's debate over when it started, but a lot of people say it started in 1939 and it finished in 1945. Cool. If you know your history, great. If you don't know your history, okay. I'm going to talk to you about a time when my country, Wales, our football team, reached the World Cup, the FIFA World Cup. Right, for me, this is a historical event. So you don't have to think in terms of like big picture politics, economics, society, things like this. It can be a historical event in the sporting world or in the entertainment world. Something important that happened in the past. Yeah, but again, I can't diagnose the problem, unfortunately. I don't know why you broke down like this. Um, if it's linguistic, simplify your ideas as much as possible. Find something that you're comfortable talking about. If it is psychological, there are a number of things that you might be able to do that might help you with this, but I can't say what those things are. It's up to you to research it and find out. Sorry.
Uh, Stuff I it's really helped us to enhance our knowledge.
So I'm going to skip ahead to part
About the
three because I don't.
historical event you find interesting.
I don't want to just sit on part two and watch the candidate struggle here. So the candidate had a critical breakdown. Not the end of the world. We still have part three to go to. Poor candidate, looking at his face, his facial reaction. I know that right now the candidate is not thinking about my next question. The candidate is thinking like, oh my God, what happened? What did I do? Why did that happen? Oh, this is terrible. This is awful. Why did I do this? You have to move on. You have to. I know it doesn't help to say you have to move on, but you have to move on. Let's talk about history in general now. Is it important to learn about history? Again, look at the candidate's face. You can see he's devastated.
Yes, definitely, it's really important.
And you can hear in the intonation now, he's lost his intonation because he's not thinking about this question. He's just mechanically thinking, yes, it's very important because because he's so disappointed and so upset at his part two, and now it's starting to affect his part three.
Important to learn about history because it's really helped us to enhance our knowledge.
So it's really help. Now it seems to be affecting his grammar. Earlier on, it gives he used, and now he's saying it's help. So maybe this part two also made him less attentive to his grammar. I don't know, but we're getting basic mistakes with present simple, where early he was good with it and now it's breaking down a little.
Place by exploring the historical events. So yeah, definitely, it's quite important for
Okay, and he's back. Yeah, definitely, it's quite important. So Candid has, it seems like he's recovered. Great.
everyone to uh, to learn about the history.
And do you think schools should focus more? And again, after ending the answer in quite a positive way, again, candidates' body language is quite negative still. About more on the country's history or on global history?
Uh, Actually, the school should focus on both, not only just
Cool, love this. Not only just nice.
country's history but also the world history, because both have different perspectives. So I believe that most of the people believe that
Okay, candidate intonation is back. So he had that breakdown in part two, the first part, the first half of part of the first question in part three. Clear that it was affecting him, but now he seems okay.
both has different benefits if they learn the children from school. So yeah, that is important for everyone, I think.
Now, some people think that watching historical movies is a great way to learn about history. Do you agree?
Yes, I strongly believe that, because watching historical
I strongly believe that this is a bit of functional language which might be memorized, but it works here.
movie, it really helps to uh,
It really helps. It really helps, not it is really helps.
enhance our cognitive and
Helps our cognitive. And again, it feels like candidate has just learnt the word cognitive and is just, guessing and trying to use it.
because watching historical movie, it really helps to enhance our cognitive, and
It really helps to enhance our cognitive. Uh,
at the same time watching some film, this really help to gather the knowledge from the movie. So
I gather the knowledge. It's a little bit strange, but okay.
yeah, it's really important to learn. It's really important for everyone.
Again, it's really important for everyone. There's a lack of detail. The candidate does answer the question directly, expresses a point of view, fine, but can't go that extra level to develop. Other people say, though, that historical movies often they're not very reliable and they're not very accurate. What do you think about this?
Uh, Actually, it depends on the movie. If the movie is really fantastic and that reflect the history that reflect the history accurately, so that time it's really beneficial for everyone. When
Yeah, so it's like people criticize movies for not being historically accurate. What do you think? Oh, it depends. If the movie is historically accurate, then it's beneficial for everyone. Yeah, we know, but you're not dealing with this point of view, which is historical movies are unreliable. Um, you know, it's not enough to overturn that point of view by saying if movies are reliable or are accurate, then they're beneficial.
it comes to the some movie that's are not really
And this might be an English problem, it might be just a skill problem, understanding what a discussion is, how to evaluate an argument, how to discuss an argument, how to explore, points for, points against, why we agree, why we disagree, and so on.
relevant. It doesn't show the relevant topic or the things. So that time I think it's doesn't it doesn't prefer to everyone, I think.
Yeah, so again, it's almost like a childlike level of response, right? If I asked like an 8-year-old, like what films should we watch and what films shouldn't we watch, that 8-year-old would probably say, I think we should watch good films and because they're good, but I don't think we should watch bad films because they're bad. And that's the level of simplicity, unfortunately, that we get from the candidate here, that he's saying, the question is, some people think that watching historical movies isn't good because they are unreliable or they are historically inaccurate. You have to evaluate that opinion, and it isn't enough to say if the movie is accurate then it's good and if the movie is not accurate then it's bad. Yeah, it's just not enough. And why are museums and monuments important in teaching people about history? It's a difficult question.
Yes, it's definitely
It's not a yes or no question.
uh, plays a important role to learn history, because if whenever people visit to the museum, that time they are seeing some ancient time monument or lots of things. So
Yeah, they are seeing some ancient time monument, but why? Can we go deeper there? Why? Why is it good for them? How does it teach them about history, seeing these ancient things?
that's the way they can gather some knowledge from the
Again, they can gather some knowledge isn't quite detailed enough. I'm sorry if I'm overly critical.
background of this history. So yeah, it's uh, really important. And I think, yeah, if people visit some historical place, that's definitely well for them.
And why do some people find history boring?
Because the reason behind it, they feel boring
They feel bored.
uh, I think they have been seeing for a much more time. That's why they think that
They have been seeing for much more
it's
time.
boring for them. They couldn't find any interest or captivating to visit there. Or
Again, captivating. He's trying to use this high level language, but they can't find any captivating. But again, if we strip away if we strip away everything, the candidate's argument is they find it boring because the things there are not interesting for them, which again is circular as a point of view.
watching again and again. So that's why I think they
And maybe he's saying they've seen it too many times, maybe.
feel that that is boring for them.
But I don't know, how can you see history time and time again or many, many times? So again, there's not a really, you know, sophisticated, satisfying answer to the question, why do some people find history boring? It's a horrible, it's a horrible question. It's very difficult, but you can keep answers simple. Like, oh, I think nowadays people are just less focused on the history. I think now we get a lot of messages that say like, oh, you should focus on the present. You get lots of Eastern philosophy that tells us to focus only on the present. Okay, that might be a difficult answer. You might just choose something easy like, oh well, young people especially find it boring, and I think because they are distracted, they want to watch their movies or they want to watch reels on TikToks or something like this, and maybe when they think of history, they think of like being at school, and kids really don't like being at school. So I think, yeah, that's one reason why young people find it boring. At least there's a bit of an argument in that response. And finally, what do you think future historians might say about the world in 2024? That was a question I invented on the spot. I just thought I wanted to ask it. Sorry, it's not an easy question.
Uh, Actually, I think in 2024,
So the candidate now is talking about 2024, but the question is, what will future historians, so historians in 100 years, when they look back on our world today, what will they say about it?
in this year history, how can I say? If you don't mind, could you repeat the question?
It's okay to ask the examiner to repeat the question. There's no problem at all. Examiners really don't have anything against doing this. It's absolutely fine to ask the examiner to repeat the question. What do you think people in the future historians, what do you think they might say about life in 2024? So I'm trying to rephrase to make sure that the candidate understands the question.
Okay, in 2024, people
But again, the candidate's still talking about people in 2024.
like say they can say a lot of things due to the
He's talking about people in 2024 who can say lots of things. We're looking for the perspective of future historians.
technological advancement.
Again, technological advancement. Candid is trying to activate bits of language, but it feels like memorized bits of language that he's just trying to squeeze in at any
Because
opportunity.
at that moment it's really accessible to know the history using phone, computer, and this type of gadget really makes really make the thing really easier to find out what actually happened in 1950, 18,
So we're off topic with this last answer.
and 18th century. So I think in 2024, this time all the things are really easier to know about the history.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of the test. All right. Brother. Okay, let's talk about. Let's give some scores for this. So I'm not going to be. I won't spend too much time on this. Fluency and coherence for. You had a critical breakdown in part two. But also you lack the ability to go deeper into questions. Now, I don't know if this is a strategy thing or if it's a problem with your language. Again, it's difficult for me to diagnose it, but I can say that you don't go deeper, you don't develop deeper into questions enough. Lexical resource, I'm going to give 5. So you have enough. Again, you have enough lexical resource to answer questions in a direct way, but you often rely on generic language and again lack the vocab to go into detail. You attempt to use less common pre-modifying adjective, less common lexes, but these attempts are always awkward and inappropriate. So yeah, that's what I'll say. They're always awkward and inappropriate. Like I am freedom, and learning Japanese is critical instead of difficult. But that down in the dumps was that strange one. Yeah, many attempts to try to use less common bits of language, idiomatic bits of language, dog days, things like this. Yeah, it just doesn't work. Grammatical range and accuracy, I think, is your strongest point. I think I will give you a 6 for this. So despite some basic errors, you generally have good control over basic grammatical structures, and you show some attempts to use more complex structures, right? You use conditionals pretty well. There are a few attempts where you seem to be trying, like those whatever or whenever sentences, like whenever I see this, I da 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 da. So I think, yeah, I think you do have enough grammar there for a 6. A slightly wider, generally, a slightly wider range of structures would push you closer to that 7, but I think, yeah, 6 is fair. Pronunciation, I think I can award maybe I can award the 6 for pronunciation too. Yeah, I think I can. I think in general, it's easy to understand you. There are a couple of slips, a couple of parts of game when you're accessing like template language. Some cases where some bits of language disappear, but in general, it's easy to understand you, and you show a nice range of intonation. Speech isn't always connected, fine, but generally, the rhythm of your speech is okay. The intonation, I think, is good enough for a 6. Yeah, so, not an absolute disaster. It comes out as 5.0, and you might be thinking, well, with this critical, comes out as 5.0, and you might be thinking, well, without this critical breakdown in part 2, maybe I would have got a 5 for fluency and coherence, so, maybe my level is 5.5, and I think that's probably where you are as an English user. I think you are on that border between intermediate, upper intermediate, between B1, B2. There might be examiners that give you 4 for lexical resource. They really might not like those attempts that you have. And so areas of improvement, the first thing isn't going to be about fluency and coherence. The first thing is using please stop trying to use complex vocab. There are many occasions where it's like you're trying to force yourself to use language that you don't fully understand, and it just, in 100% of cases in this test, it counted against you. It was something bad. Sometimes we have candidates who's like, oh yeah, there's an attempt and that's good, it works here, but it sounds strange there. In your case, every attempt at using complex vocab was bad for your score. So I would just recommend not using it. Stick to vocab that you know. Secondly, you have to learn how to develop into topics in a deeper way. So much of your language is formulaic, right? Like, let's take a very simple question, like, what sport do you like? The answers you give, something like, oh, well, I like a lot of different sports, but if I had to choose one, I think I would say football because it's fun, and it's for this reason that I like football. And it's not really going deep into it. We don't have to go crazy deep in part one, but what sports do you like? Oh, my favorite sport is football. Nowadays I usually just watch it on TV, but when I was younger, I used to play it a lot. Like, I was never like a professional, but I played at quite a high standard. But yeah, anyway, nowadays I just watch it. My favorite football team is Newcastle United, and unfortunately, we are not very strong. That's development. That's going into detail. And none of your answers go into detail in this way. So you have to do that. Keep it up with the grammar. The grammar you have is pretty good. Don't change it. The pronunciation you have is pretty good. Don't change that. Maybe I'll add also look into any strategies. Oh, yeah, I think I mentioned this before. Try to put yourself, I would recommend this. Try to put yourself in situations, in high pressure situations where you have to speak English. No, not dangerous situations, but situations that make you feel uncomfortable. I don't know. I don't know, making friends, playing video games online and become part of like a 4-man team on, I don't know, whatever computer games people play, and try to speak English in that way. Try to, I don't know, speak to strangers on the street in English or something. Anything that will make you feel nervous, anything that will make you feel like, oh my God, I don't want to do this, where you have to use English. That might give you some experience of using English under pressure, which might help you. Apart from that, there are psychological things, breathing techniques, controlling techniques. I can't offer you suggestions on that. Those are things that you have to explore for yourself and find out, which ones work and which ones don't for you. But okay, all in all, 5.0. B1, not far away from B2. Yeah, certainly some points to improve, but also want to say, candidate, as always, I'm very lucky I get to speak to so many really, really nice candidates. Candidate was nervous, but a super, super nice guy, one of the nicest guys you could hope to meet. So I wish you the very best of luck in your real speaking test. Yeah, and if anyone has any questions about the feedback, about the comments or the scores that I've given in this video, please do let me know in the comments section below. But I will leave it there for now. So I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of this candidate's speaking performance. If you would like to have your own free practice speaking test with feedback, then you can request this on my Telegram channel. I'm also checking IELTS writing tasks, so if you'd like me to check your writing and give you scores and feedback, again, you can request this in my Telegram channel. A link to this Telegram channel is given below. I don't think many people ever make it to the end of these videos, but I am doing a live stream on Saturday. I'm trying to test as many people as possible on Saturday. I think I will go for about 3 hours, maybe for 4 hours, just to try to give as many people the chance to have a speaking test as possible. So yeah, more on that coming soon. But for now, have a wonderful evening. See you all again soon. Bye bye.